I spent $380,000 raising my stepdaughter, paid for her trips, college, and everything while her real dad did nothing. Then she told me I was not her real father and demanded I adopt her anyway so she could claim my inheritance. What I did next was cold, legal, and incredibly satisfying. Hello Reddit I plus here. I met my ex-wife when I was 27, fresh into a boring but stable career. The kind of job that does not impress anyone at a party, but quietly pays the bills and builds a future. She already had a daughter who was 6 at the time. Big eyes, scraped knees, always asking questions. Her biological father had vanished before she could even form memories of him. No calls, no cards, no child support, nothing. I did not plan to be a father that early in my life, but life does not ask for permission. At first, I tried to stay in my lane. I was the friendly adult in the house, the guy who fixed broken toys and helped with homework when asked. But kids are smart. They notice who shows up, who sits through school plays, who learns how to braid hair badly and still tries again, who stays up all night when they are sick, wiping their forehead and whispering that it will be okay. Somewhere along the way, I stopped thinking of her as my wife's child and started thinking of her as mine. When we got married, I made a choice. If I was going to be in that household, I was going to do it fully. I opened a savings account for her education. I paid for summer camps, sports, dance lessons she quit after 2 months, then another activity 2 months later. I paid for orthodontics. I paid for a class trip to Europe when she was 16 because all her friends were going, and she cried at the kitchen table, terrified of being left out. Her biological father resurfaced exactly twice in all those years. Once with a birthday text when she turned 13. Once with a vague promise to meet up that never happened. He never paid a cent, never attended a single event, never even argued with me over discipline because he was never around to care. By the time she graduated high school, I had spent just over $380,000 raising her. I did not calculate it at the time. I only know the number because later, I needed to. College came next. She chose a private university out of state. Expensive, prestigious. I swallowed hard and said yes anyway. I co-signed housing, I paid tuition, I sent monthly allowances. I told myself this was what fathers did, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Then my marriage started to crack. My wife and I grew distant. Years of stress, resentment, and unspoken expectations finally caught up to us. The divorce was not explosive, just sad, quiet, exhausting. We split assets, sold the house, and went our separate ways. Through all of it, I stayed connected to my stepdaughter. I still paid for her education. I still checked in. I still showed up for graduation, or so I thought. A few months after she finished college, she asked to meet me for coffee. She sounded formal on the phone. Too formal. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She did not smile. She did not ask how I was. She got straight to the point. She told me that she had been thinking a lot about her future, about stability, about security, about family. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. She said, very calmly, that I was not her real father. No hesitation, no softness, just a statement. Then she followed it up with the part that hurt even more. She said that while she appreciated everything I had done, it was time to be honest about boundaries. She wanted to reconnect with her biological father now that she was an adult. She said blood mattered, legacy mattered. Then she took a sip of her drink and said she wanted me to adopt her. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. It was not. She explained that adoption would make things cleaner legally, that it would show commitment, that it would help her feel secure. Then she said, the quiet part out loud. She said she wanted to make sure she was included in my will. She said she knew I had done well financially. She said she deserved to be recognized for being my daughter in every way that counted. I asked her if she had spoken to her biological father about any of this. She shrugged and said he was not financially stable. She said he could not offer her anything long-term. Then she said something I will never forget. She said, you did all of this because you chose to. That does not make you my dad, but it should count for something. I went home and sat in silence for hours. I replayed every memory, every bedtime story, every sacrifice. Every moment I defended her as my own, and I realized something painful but clarifying. To her, I was not family. I was a resource. That night, I called a lawyer. I did not yell. I did not threaten. I did not confront her. I asked questions. I asked about adult adoption laws. I asked about inheritance rights. I asked about past financial contributions. I asked what obligations existed and which ones did not. Then I asked one final question. I asked how to protect myself legally. Over the next few weeks, I gathered documents, bank statements, tuition payments, travel expenses, medical bills, everything. I made a detailed ledger of every major expense I had covered since she was a child, not because I planned to ask for it back, but because I wanted a record of reality. Then I updated my estate plan. I created a trust. I named beneficiaries. I allocated funds to causes I actually cared about. Scholarships, charities, a foundation in my parents' names. I left modest gifts to a few people who had shown up for me consistently over the years. I left her nothing. Legally, cleanly, permanently. Then I asked my lawyer to draft a response to her adoption request. The letter was polite, neutral, professional. It stated that I would not be proceeding with adoption. It clarified that I had no legal obligation to do so. It also included a final note. It thanked her for the years we shared. It acknowledged the support I had provided voluntarily. It wished her well in reconnecting with her biological father, and it ended by asking her to direct any future communication through legal counsel. She lost it. She called me ungrateful. She said I was punishing her for being honest. She accused me of emotional manipulation. She told extended family that I had abandoned her. Some of them believed her. Some did not. A few months later, her biological father reached out to me, angry, defensive, demanding to know why I had cut her off. I told him the truth. I told him I had raised his child, paid for her life, given her opportunities he never bothered to support, and that she had chosen him when it came to identity, but me when it came to money. There was a long silence on the phone. Then he hung up. I have not heard from either of them since. Here is the part people expect me to regret. I do not. I grieved, yes. I mourned the relationship I thought I had, but I also felt something unexpected. Relief, because love given freely is a gift, but love exploited is a lesson. I learned mine late, but thoroughly. And the coldest part, the most satisfying part, is knowing that I did not take anything away from her. I simply stopped giving something she was never entitled to, and legally, morally, and emotionally, I walked away clean.